Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'm discussing my thoughts on episode 9 of the anime series Snow White with the Red Hair. And I was actually really surprised that we were still very much following on from all of the events in the previous episode, most notably the flashbacks relating to this boy Atri that, Zen had become very familiar with and friendly with, and there was a level of betrayal there. And you saw the strengthening bonds between Zen and Mitsuhide in this episode, where, he basically has kept the arrowhead that was the only leftover of this boy's life. There was no grave, no official marking to be able to remember him by. And it's going to be something that impacts Zen from his every waking moment from that point on. And we see concurrently in the currently unfolding events in this episode that he's still very much mulling that over. And in his interactions with Obi, Obi comes to the fore in this episode as being very much the protector of Shirayuki as he's been, as he was appointed a couple episodes back or in the previous episode by Zen. And Shirayuki is still coming down off the alcohol consumption that she was tricked into by Garrick and everything. And she's gotten it into her mind to try to get back to that little offshoot city of Laxstow because she wants to find out how everything is going there. Because of, Izana's basically holding Zen accountable for, letting what befell them in the first place happen at all. He's punished Zen and said, you can't go back there for 6 months or whatever. And apparently, as a result of this, Zen is very sort of off-putting to Shirayuki, just sort of, he's like dusting it off his shoulders, like, yeah, it's not my responsibility, everything's going to be okay, don't worry about it, and, let's just move on. And Shirayuki cannot leave it at that. She feels somewhat responsible. She has a responsibility to these people in their, coming back to health and everything. And of course, Obi sort of drops the little mini bombshell that he's gotten information. This was why it took him so long when he was given some free reign in the previous episode to leave the castle, to leave the kingdom, essentially, and Zen had said, I didn't know whether or not you might come back. I apologize for doubting you. But apparently he made a stop over at Laxstow and he got sort of, friendly with everyone there and found out how they were doing, got the information, the very information, in fact, that Shirayuki is wanting, everyone's progress and healing and everything like that. And the promise, a sort of message to her, from the soldiers and the people that exist there, was to say, hey, we're on the up and up, and we're going to try hard, and we're going to work together, and we're going to keep going, And so you see her blushing. You see Obi kind of stunned at the fact that he's getting thanked for what he's been doing. I think he's been on his own for so long that he almost can't comprehend or handle why people would be looking upon him as somebody trustworthy and being grateful for his actions, things that he has done. And Shirayuki very much does that. Even in her sort of semi-drunken stupor, the, truth of the matter is she understands what Obi did and what he did for her, that he did this for her. And so she can only thank him. And of course, then she passes out. He's like carrying her on his back to try to bring her back to her room and everything. And, as sort of the revelations and the callbacks through Mitsuhide's eyes once again on the arrowhead and everything, as all that's unfolding, Zen, of course, is finally done with the day's work, and he gets the note from Kiki that's from Obi. I thought it was from Shirayuki, but apparently she went looking for Shirayuki, and Obi wasn't there, she wasn't there. And the note was left behind saying that Shirayuki was up and about, and she's going somewhere, and we don't know what's going on with her, and she's still a little drunk and everything. And so Zen, getting this note, he's kind of perturbed, but he goes and he's like, do you have what I asked you for? Kiki throws something to him, and I absolutely love this. When they finally have their confrontation, when Zen catches up with Obi carrying Shirayuki, and they have their exchange of words, and they put her back into her bed and everything, they end up spending a little time together, and in a similar means, a parallel once again to kind of sort of the personal time you saw, Zen and Mitsuhide having in the past, which I thought it was just brilliant that we see that Izana is overseeing all of this. He's kind of eavesdropping on this at that time, and he's happy that this has impacted Zen in a progressive way. It's not going to be something detrimental to his character losing this Atri, friend and everything. He's going to turn that loss into something progressive, something positive, and set his right foot forward. And, you know, it still continues to this day, that sort of adversarial relationship between Izana and Zen, and Izana wanting the best for his brother, and his brother to be a little bit less impetuous. And that's the one, seemingly, at least in Obi's estimation, that's one seeming, you know, thing they have in common, Zen and Shirayuki, even beyond their worldliness and their, you know, aspiring towards something and being on some kind of path. They're also both, when they're left to their own devices, very impetuous. But as I say, I love when essentially Zen and Obi are just sort of having drinks, and he gives Obi an official, you know, sort of, I guess you could say, identification card that gives him the official status of being the second prince's messenger, although his job requirements will be much broader, most notably to keep an eye, a protectoral eye on Shirayuki, and make sure, as we saw, somebody tried to sneak in and get information about her, or whatever it was, and Obi took this guy out. He lived up to that call. He lived up to those responsibilities, and Zen is now making his trust, his faith in Obi, that Obi proved. You know, he could be loyal, he could be honorable, he came back to the kingdom. So Zen commemorates this by making his status official. And it's like, I loved that, because again, Obi is very much, he's, you know, I find relatability in him, because sometimes it astounds me when somebody extends to me a kindness. I try to be kind to people, but I'm very much sort of reclusive to a point, and I do keep my distance. And so when people are actually genuinely kind and profoundly kind, it just amazes me, and it takes me aback, and I'll sit back and I'll be very much like Obi, wide-eyed and sort of, whoa, you know. So it was really sweet and heartening to see Obi getting this sort of recognition, this much deserved recognition, and how very much that paralleled the past between, as I say, Zen and Mitsuhide. And I also love, as a footnote, you know, when Zen is having this sort of, you know, mano-a-mano time with Obi, you have Mitsuhide just sort of chilling, and he's looking up at the stars, he's stargazing, he's like, they seem so much closer tonight. And I love how Kiki's kind of looking at him, and he's like, I feel like I need exercise. And she's like, oh, I'll hang with you, you know. Is there something going on between Mitsuhide and Kiki? If not, why not? I think they are a perfect pairing. Loved seeing them sparring, and I'm just imagining them, you know, having a burgeoning sort of love affair between themselves, you know. Maybe I'm way off, I don't know. But if I were going to ship anyone in this series, apart from the most obvious, Zen and Shirayuki, it'd be Mitsuhide and Kiki. And so I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 9 of Akagami no Shirayuki-hime, or Snow White with the Red Hair, if you have seen it, if you enjoyed it as much as I did. I thoroughly did, though it was, as I say, kind of a surprise that we were still lingering on with the effects and the story tropes of the previous episode, but it was no less satisfying by the end. So yeah, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.